This is the 500 on film. I'm Ray Steele, along with Indy's film expert, Matthew Socey. We're going to talk about movies that are connected to or tied into the Indianapolis 500, because it's May, and that's what we do. This is entitled The Silent, meaning silent movies. Now, as far as we know, there are two silent movies that were made about the Indy 500, or with the Indy 500 as the backdrop. One of them is a lost film called Racing Hearts, so it's lost. We're not going to talk about that one.
We're going to get criticized for a film we have not seen.
No,
find that film.
Yeah, find the film, because we haven't seen it. Nobody's seen it.
Get a shovel, get some pickaxes, and start looking for this film, please.
In a very long time. But one that we do know a lot about, and one that was filmed extensively here in Indianapolis, is called Speedway. This is from 1929, MGM, and it opens, as you see here, with some very cool footage of downtown Indianapolis, 1929.
Yep, he's still hanging out at the Noodle.
He is. But you see the War Memorial, the federal courthouse here, as again, this is the opening scene of the movie. Here he comes around Monument Circle. You see Christ Church Cathedral, the Columbia Club, getting ready for our friend Abdul Hakim Shabazz already in 1929.
Yep.
But just great old footage of Indianapolis, and that was one of several scenes shot around town. And this was a big deal, as you were telling me before we got started, for 1929 for Hollywood to bring something on location like that.
Yeah, if you brought up the fact that you wanted to record, you wanted to film outside the lot, somebody with a cigar and a mustache and a big hat would tell you that costs money. You're out of your mind, or some other 20s jargon. But yeah, so it was a big deal for this to be not just shot, but shot. I mean, this is in Indianapolis. This is not California. So, they were able to shoot everything from westerns to modern shows on the streets and in the desert. But the fact that they went into our fair city and shot on location was pretty impressive for 1929.
And they shot extensively at the track, too, the
Yes.
racing scenes at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, incorporating actual footage from the 1929 race.
And most of the main cast did their own driving because, well, stunt drivers cost money. Remember, you're going to hear a recurring theme through all these bits. It costs money. But so kudos to them to sticking a crowbar in their wallet and actually filming on location. That was very cool.
Exactly. Babe Stapp, Chet Gardner, Leon DeRay, some of the actual IndyCar drivers who drove in this movie, or in the race that was used in the movie.
That's right. And we have a little family melodrama between son and foster father.
Yes.
And it's, so there's a combination. Yes, there is the question of who will win the race. There's that aspect of it. And will father and son reconcile at the end of it? Now, there is one thing about this film that kind of cracks me up. And I know race fans, although him flirting with the women, I know race fans are really chuckling about that. But near the end of the film, yes, I have notes, is the son is driving on behalf of the father. He uses his father's car. And then he's about to win the race, pulls into the pit, lets his father hop into the car and take the last lap for victory. How do you think IRL would handle that, something like that today?
I don't think that's allowed
Yeah, that's
anymore.
a big no-no, you think?
Because they were swapping drivers in and out, not just that car, but other cars.
Exactly.
In the race back then. You see the Purdue Marching Band is going to be here in just a second. You see the old pagoda, as it was back then. And
they did the Charleston in the Snake Pit. It was really racy. I mean, it was huge.
The Snake Pit was huge, even in 1929.
They showed their ankles in the Snake Pit.
Well, you mentioned William Gaines, the star of this movie, one of the leading men of Hollywood at that time. And how funny it is for him to be portrayed as a womanizer. That's because William Gaines was one of the few openly gay actors in Hollywood at that time.
Yes, he was. That was not it was not that big of a deal back then in certain circles. And again, you saw the flirting scene. Yeah.
But again, he was a big star.
Exactly.
And of course, but that would eventually, a few years later, and again, moving into the talking pictures era from the silent movie era, that would essentially cost him his career.
Afraid so.
Yep. So check it out. If it's on Turner Classic Movies, that's where we see all the old movies these days, at TCM. Speedway from 1929 and MGM, one of the films that are attached to the Indy 500. This has been the 500 on film.